What happens when you take an upcoming musical genius and mix him together with the talented graphic designer? In this video, I'll be running down the career of DROELOE. From humble beginnings to the top of massive festivals, these two best friends have come a long way and been through their fair share of hardships. This is a matter of perspective. Before the 1.5 million listeners on Spotify, before performing EDC Las Vegas and Tomorrowland, before appearing on massive electronic labels such as Monstercat, Deadbeats, Lowly, and of course Bitbird, before they went on to appear on official remix packages for artists such as Charlie Puth, Selena Gomez, and Charlie XCX, before they had their massive summer hit with 45 million plays, they were just Vincent Rugers and Hein Hammers, two students who both went to Utrecht School of Arts in Utrecht, the Netherlands. Vincent for music production and Hein for graphic design. If you have a similar story to mine, you probably heard these guys because of Sanholo's print label Bitbird or Monstercat. In fact, you've probably heard one of these three songs first. If you also have a similar story to me, you were blown away by those songs. You immediately fell in love with the impressively simple, yet extremely catchy and earwormy melodies, a signature DROELOE toy piano or bass, and those satisfying claps they used to use in every song of theirs. Vincent and Hein's ventures before DROELOE are a story of their own, but let's jump ahead to when these guys put out their first song. DROELOE, and yes, pronounced DROELOE, not DROELOE, means wasted in Dutch, and when you hear their first few songs, it's a pretty fitting name. Their first few songs had a slurry vocal chop in most of them, had some weird chirpy leads, and of course, since this was SoundCloud in 2016, some deep as hell 808s. Not even a year in, Sanholo, a producer known for making hit songs such as Hold Up, saw these unique tunes DROELOE were making and signed them. Their first ever release on Bitbird was called Make My Day, a song that didn't sound too different from what they were making before they joined the label. Just a quick personal story, Make My Day was actually my first DROELOE song that I had ever heard. I heard it on Sanholo's New Sky tour mix that dropped in early 2016 and I was instantly blown away. Putting aside the fact that mix opened my ears up to a bunch of other Bitbird artists, I just couldn't get over how hard Make My Day went. It was just such a playful, mindless banger with such a fun vocal chop and melody. Ooh boy, little did I know who I was listening to. On March 21st, 2016, DROELOE basically started what they are now. ZZZ, DROELOE's second Bitbird release, was released to high praise, and deservedly so. ZZZ was an impressive, minimal yet complex, simple yet intriguing combination of trap and future bass. As an avid 2016 SoundCloud electronic music listener, ZZZ was something totally new. Quite literally, nobody released a song quite like ZZZ. And I feel like you're still seeing the cultural influence it had on today's future bass and trap. Over 4 years, ZZZ grew DROELOE's brand massively, and it became the song that so many people listened to first when hearing the name DROELOE. It currently sits at 10 million plays and was the opener in nearly every DROELOE set before 2019. All eyes were not only on DROELOE, but their home base, Bitbird, because when ZZZ released, Bitbird was merely a fetus of what it is now. This was months before Light, by its owner, Sanholo, released. The fact that DROELOE helped grow an entire label with their breakout single was telling. DROELOE followed up their breakout single with huge gains in their notoriety, such as an official remix for Charlie Puth and Selena Gomez's We Don't Talk Anymore, Galaxies by World and Father Dude, and releases on Monstercat and Lowly Palace, and even landing a song on Rocket League and Monstercat Volume 1. They put out Lines of the Broken, another hit that was a collab with mentor Sanholo, landed a spot on Monstercat's Best of 2016 compilation, remixed Sanholo's Still Looking and Away's Sleepwalker, and released classic originals See Through Me, Wake the Warrior, and Nothing Wrong with Vinzier on Bitbird's Goldion Finch Volume 1 compilation. That summer, they performed alongside the likes of Marshmello, Cruella, Seven Lions, Sanholo, and more on Monstercat's Tomorrowland Belgium 2017 stage, and put out a massive guest mix on Diplo and Friends. Still one of, if not my favorite electronic mix ever, might I add. All while working on their first chapter. No, I didn't misspeak, the first chapter. They haven't even gotten started yet. On August 11, 2017, DROELOE released their most popular and most commonly celebrated song to date, Sunburn. It's a quick and relatively simple listen nowadays, but this was just the beginning of this era. This little future-based tune held a lot of power. With over 45 million plays on Spotify as of this video, this tune blew up and was supported by huge names. This song was an ID in the Diplo and Friends mix I had mentioned before, so it's safe to say it was getting hyped up long before its official release. It's crazy to look back on because this song directly correlated with the next DROELOE project, but that's for later. We're still on A Moment in Time, DROELOE's first ever project. On August 22nd, 2017, DROELOE's debut EP, A Moment in Time, was released. If you had found DROELOE through Sunburn and checked out A Moment in Time, you were in for a treat. The EP starts off with a sample from a random home video from 1997 uploaded to YouTube. Just Now starts off with a soft, somewhat off-key, one-note bell noise that is perfectly synced up with the seconds passing and the duration of the song. A riser builds, then a sample of a child celebrating the 1997 New Year with his parents comes in, bringing you back to a simpler time of childhood and being unknowingly happy about your life around you. The little sample that's become famous in the DROELOE community of a child yelling just shows how aimlessly random and happy this child in the beginning of his life was, free of the world around him and what was to come. The latter half of this song goes on with a nostalgic instrumental, then suddenly stops and transitions to Sunburn. Sunburn in a way represents teenage relationships and how quickly they come and go. After Sunburn, a fun, melodic, but progressively darker Lily Pads begins. Besides having one of the catchiest melodies I've ever heard, it's extremely fun, which is only backed up by the ragtime feeling instrumental in the back. According to Vincent, Lily Pads is about a memory triggered by something really insignificant, from a smell or message on an answering machine, but can bring you back in a place in your head where you haven't been for a long while. The ballad of times past, but also in celebration of rediscovering the melody, which I feel perfectly describes why the melody remains so simple, yet progresses through an insane atmosphere of different sounds and feels during the entire song. Even near the end, when the song gets louder and the sounds get more complex, the lead melody remains. After Lily Pads, the climax of the three singles, Homebound, begins as the penultimate song on the project. Homebound conveys a message of always feeling the need to be close to home. No matter how far you go or where you go in life, it's extremely important to have a place to stay and unwind after a destination or long day. A place where you can feel all emotions and understand them. The EP finishes on an emotional point with Just Now, a song that perfectly transitions off of Homebound. The EP accelerates to the present in 2017, where the song gets darker and sadder. Contrary to its 20-year earlier introduction counterpart, there is no fun, no unknowingly happy sample. You're left alone with the dark instrumental that slowly grows and gets faster, then suddenly stops. You're left with a beauty of a chord progression, a quiet background chorus, and once again, the soft bell counting the seconds returns, signifying that life goes on. Life goes on at the same speed as it does when you were younger, but the positions you're in now as an adult are much more different. There's a lot of responsibility and a lot of darkness, but you're still alive and you're still going. After the release of A Moment in Time, the guys witnessed firsthand the growth of its lead single, Sunburn, and garnered many new fans through the EP. The guys followed up their debut EP with the release on Bitbird's Goldion Finch 2 compilation, a collab with Bitbird's label mate Tasca Black, a catchy return to trap with Backbone featuring Nev, and a quiet, melodic Many Words and its subsequent remix package, all while their brand grew and performed one of the most celebrated sets at EDC Las Vegas 2018. However, after releasing consistently about a month or two since the start of their career, Many Words remained their last single for a bit, until on July 27, 2018, DROELOE released Looking Back, a flawless transition into a new era of their sound, and a clear continuation of the story they told with A Moment in Time. Looking Back features Vincent's own vocals, more raw and straightforward than they have ever been before. Listening to Looking Back, the story was less vague than A Moment in Time. This song looks back on childhood and all of the other moments that had led you to the present, and while you still have a lot to learn and a lot of growing to do, your past experiences help you with them.
I think this was a story that we both connected with.
So I think with A Moment in Time, we told this story of us going on tour for the first time and everything that we experienced, and it was kind of like a more of like almost a cathartic experience for us to translate that that all those things that happened into music. I feel that the choice we face is basically a continuation of that idea. It's
Yeah.
a representation of how we felt at the moment and the things that we were dealing with at the moment.
While the choices we face is sonically similar to A Moment in Time, the EP faces more life challenges in the present. Sure, there's some returns to a childhood-like theme in The First Wish and Weird Machine, but the majority of the project takes a clearer approach to the present. Limbo represents the feeling of uneasiness or anxiety one may feel when they don't know what's coming next. And songs like Taking Flight and especially Step by Step are all about taking life step by step, one step at a time. Turnaround serves as a more joyful, happy interlude to looking back before the pendulum swings and transitions into its darker, more serious feeling lead single. The EP was then followed by a remix package with a packed lineup of artists all across the scene. Bitbird labelmate Flaws took an alternative pop approach to The First Wish, Doomu gave Weird Machine his signature poppy future-bass feel. There was a super dark and immersive drum and bass remix of Step by Step by Signal, now known as Imanu. Fitch also gave Step by Step a remix with his signature dark trap style. Sem gave Looking Back a redesign, messing with the original's melody but still keeping the dark vibe, with the accompanying remix from Manu Dia, who made it a more tropical, minimal, and organic tune with a brand new melody and feel. After the choices we faced, DROELOE continued making music in the same vein, ditching the electronic feel more and more with every release. DROELOE moved into their more unique take on pop, with Vincent featuring his own vocals with less and less effects more and more. Their small collaborative project at the end of 2018 featured collabs from Sem and Fitch, both with a sonically similar storyline of being metaphorically stuck in a sea. The loud and heavy future-based collab with Sem, Facing the Sea, took on a storyline of attempting to face all of life's challenges in one go and quickly being overwhelmed. The more alternative rock counterpart, Through the Storm with Fitch, is rightfully more calm and relaxed, but still interesting and immersive. The lyrics represent going through life's problems, but taking them head on while also expecting more to come. And while they seem difficult going through them, you always come out the other side alive. The first standalone DROELOE single after the Choices We Face era was Only Be Me, a song about accepting someone into your life that you can be around and not have to put on an act. Later that year, they released an official remix for Arizona's Find Someone, Snow Shovels on Goldion Finch Volume 3, a collab with electronic music legend Zedstead with Stars Tonight, and an official remix for Petit Biscuit and JP Cooper's We Were Young. DROELOE were riding the wave of a smooth sailing 2019 as they slowly entered their next era. On August 23, 2019, 2 years and a day after the release of Sunburn, DROELOE released Virtual Friends, a song about precisely what the title states, staying home and trying your hardest to make friends any way you can. It was a song with a deeper meaning, but the song was loud and overwhelming, similar to the drop of Facing the Sea. Virtual Friends was a huge hit among the fanbase and was a huge hit at live shows, but as the fun started, life once again was in the way. A few weeks before the release of Virtual Friends, the guys put out a cryptic, vague post saying the guys wanted to divide and conquer, somewhat alluding to a split or some sort of rebrand. However, right before the release of Virtual Friends, DROELOE cleared things up. Hein announced that he would no longer be performing at live shows and it'll all be left to Vince. Hein would still be working on the art for DROELOE releases, but that would be about it. For all intents and purposes, the duo was slowly drifting apart. Along with the announcement for this, the duo announced their, quote, final chapter, A Promise Is Made. While the singles of A Promise Is Made felt uplifting and as usual felt like a new style for the boys, when the official project dropped, the three very different singles, Virtual Friends, Broken Bricks, and Grind and Hustle, seemed to all blend together perfectly. Their longest project yet opened up with Oath, a gorgeous, uplifting yet nostalgic intro in the same feel as Back When and Just Now off A Moment in Time. The intro slowly builds to a signature DROELOE drop with a simple yet beautiful melody, while a poem is being said about following your dreams and living your life with friends. And while there may be trouble along the way, you will continue. The intro was followed up by Virtual Friends, then Casual Trouble, a playful instrumental similar to what DROELOE were making before their three-part EP series. Broken Bricks, the second single, is arguably the most DROELOE song on the entire project. It features fun, simplistic melodies and lyrics, similar to a nursery rhyme. Broken Bricks is followed by Komorebi, a chill interlude that flows into Written Maze featuring Iris Penning, who offers a powerful vocal performance about losing yourself and finding yourself, over a signature DROELOE instrumental, sounding sonically similar to The Choices We Face. It's followed by Petrified, a rightfully named spooky-sounding trap tune, similar to Limbo off The Choices We Face, but this time featuring vocals from Vince, who brings the message of being scared of the future home, which perfectly translates into their next song, World Full of Snakes. Probably the most different sounding song they've ever released, World Full of Snakes had a heavy trap beat over who I assume is Vincent rapping under the alias Piotr V. Despite the unknown alias making its debut appearance, the lyrics tell the narrative clear as can be. The world is full of people you can't trust, so be careful of the choices you face and the promises you make. Seemingly serving as a transitional song between the darkest DROELOE song to date to an uplifting outro is Grind and Hustle. A vibey, somewhat funky, short song featuring a fitting Rhodes, slowly leading into a dark and sudden trap drop to end it off. A dark ending to one of the most fun songs DROELOE have ever made. The next song in the outro on their third project is an uplifting one. Push Through perfectly ends the story that all three EPs tell. Push Through is a promising, fast, and hectic song about pushing through whatever may be in your way in life, and always do it no matter what challenge awaits. A song that only grew in meaning and decreased in vagueness as we witnessed what came next for DROELOE and our lives themselves. From a moment in time to a promise is made, DROELOE brought us through a good portion of the challenges we face in life. From being a child and having an ignorance to life's challenges and only having fun, to growing up and being in school and feeling like an outcast and experiencing your first come-and-go relationships, learning life general lessons such as taking life step by step, and keeping an interpretation of home close and return often, along with other general life experiences such as being scared of the future and learning who to trust and open up to. And finally, learning to push through each and every challenge life throws at you and coming out of it even stronger. After A Promise Is Made released, the future of DROELOE never felt so uncertain. The guys stated that A Promise Is Made was the final chapter of the stories they were telling with their projects, and Hein was no longer appearing at the shows. The end of 2019 marked a turning point in DROELOE. The guys performed their final show together on December 31st, 2019 at the Pachanga Theater in San Diego, California. They closed out the new year on a high note, as Hein signed off at 11:45 p.m., 15 minutes before the new decade, promising the crowd and their fans that this was not the end of DROELOE, but instead, just the beginning.
Hey San Diego, I got something to say. Now that 2019 is coming to a close, it means that this is my last show with Vince together on stage. Now this is not the end, it's the beginning. And I'm so proud to be here right now with you guys. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the moments that we shared. Let's fucking do this one more time, okay?
2020 began with the A Promise Is Made tour, where Vince made his solo debut. Terrified about being solo and debuting the final EP live, Vince took the step and did great. Vince slowly began implementing more and more organic instruments and sounds into both new music and live sets, especially the use of trumpet. The announcement of the tour and its first few dates came after the release of Virtual Friends Reimagined, a VIP of the lead single off A Promise Is Made, and the A Promise Is Made remix package, which featured Tulane, Slippy, Sella, Tails, Madnap, Analog Deer, CLB, Notaker, Clear Eyes, Palisade, and Just Because. The tour made it about 5 shows in before all hell broke loose.
A SARS-like virus, which has infected hundreds in China, has now reached the United States.
The rest of A Promise Is Made tour, and pretty much all tours in general, were cancelled during the first wave of the coronavirus pandemic in March 2020. It's safe to say that this totally derailed the path DROELOE were on, especially Vince, who was making his first couple of live solo debuts. A few weeks into the pandemic, DROELOE released I Can't Wait, a short single composed of many organic elements and a quiet melody as Vince sang candidly about his urge to get back to performing, once the pandemic was over. A few weeks later, a cover of the song was released from Flaws. Deep into the summer of 2020, as the coronavirus raged on and there was no end in sight or return to touring, DROELOE made a surprise announcement for the release of a new single, Open Blinds. Their first single besides I Can't Wait Since a Promise Is Made, a DROELOE release had never been more interesting and nerve-wracking to hear. Open Blinds released on August 21st, 2020, and it sounded like a DROELOE song. It sounded straight out of A Promise Is Made with some more organic elements like that trumpet I brought up before. Open Blinds was soon followed up by the announcement of Sunburn Reimagined. DROELOE were remaking their most celebrated song to date, a song from their first era. Sunburn Reimagined was released on September 18, 2020, and sounded like Sunburn with all of the new elements of the new DROELOE sound. It featured the same melody and same vocals with organic sounding drums and a twangy lead. On October 16, 2020, DROELOE announced another single, Roadside Flowers, featuring Iris Penning. However, this time around we got some news as to where the guy's journey was going. Along with the announcement of Roadside Flowers came the announcement of DROELOE's anthology album, A Matter of Perspective. The album would feature every single EP these guys have ever released in one spot, along with the other singles and other unreleased tracks to tie it together. Sunburn Reimagined, along with two gorgeous interludes, Panorama and Treasure Map, are released alongside the A Moment in Time part of the record. Open Blinds and a reimagination of Looking Back alongside The Choices We Face, and Virtual Friends Reimagined and Roadside Flowers alongside A Promise Is Made. But before their album could release, in the style of A Promise Is Made, they had to make the release and its accompanying songs relate to the real life. On October 21st, the guys put out a social media post where they formally announced Hein was leaving DROELOE. 5 years ago, three friends started a side project called DROELOE. A film director, Joris, a graphic designer, Hein, and a music producer-composer, Vincent. The idea was to create beats and visuals for fun and see how far we could push it. Early on, Joris' personal career was already in the fast lane, so he decided to focus more on that, and we're very proud of what he has accomplished since then. From that moment on, Vincent and Hein were DROELOE, and not so long after that, nothing would be the same again. We've met so many of you and so much amazing stuff has happened since. We're both immensely grateful for that. On a personal level, we both grew and developed a lot during this time as well, to the point that our work has got more and more inspired by personal experiences and ideas about storytelling, instead of just creating beats and visuals for the hell of it, like we did in the very beginning. Seeing that we are very different as people and both have very different roles within the project, Hein creating all the visual art and Vincent creating all the music, we noticed along the way that continuing this narrative would lead to an imbalance in the way we work together. That's why, after long conversations about what we both want in life, we decided to continue both of our stories separately. Vincent will continue to make music as DROELOE, adding new chapters to the story. Hein will continue to make visual art for other/multiple projects, and is therefore able to challenge different aspects of his creativity. We want to emphasize that we came into this mutual agreement by thinking hard about what we both want out of life, so that this is the focus, pursuing the lives we really want. It's not the end, it's a new chapter for the both of us. Yours truly, Hein and Vince. It was a long time coming and a bit of closure given the unsure future of DROELOE. It's clear the guys are obviously still great friends, and they've went on this journey of life and growing their now enormous brand in front of a million eyes. It's normal that people drift away from each other. It's what the three projects the guys made together taught. It's natural, and yes, it's sad, but in the very end, every choice looking back will be shown to be just another bookmark in the story of life. From someone like me who has been following DROELOE's work for the majority of the time it's been alive, and plenty of fans across the world, I wish Hein the best, and I know for a fact he will be just fine on his own. I mean, have you seen some of these DROELOE artwork animations? I mean, holy sh*. Like DROELOE said after the release of Sunburn Reimagined, let's take it as it comes, but mainly just enjoy what it can be. What? In all seriousness, I know both of these guys are going to be just fine, but I'd be lying if I say it didn't feel like the end of an era. A couple of weeks later, on November 13th, DROELOE released A Matter of Perspective, the culmination of basically everything big DROELOE has done since its conception, and a ribbon to tie up the gorgeous story that were the three EPs the guys put out. When I was listening to this album in full, front to back, I was reliving every aspect of my life in which I had these guys' music. I had just moved into a new state when Sunburn and A Moment in Time came out. I was just about to begin my senior year of high school when The Choices We Face released, and I was fresh off graduation when A Promise Is Made released. I was a totally different person in the former half of 2017, and I'd be surprised if most people watching this couldn't relate. DROELOE's community and the Bitbird family as a whole is probably the most wholesome, friendly, and least toxic community I've ever seen, and it's truly a gift. DROELOE's music relates so hard to everyone. They're not just the guys who made that one-off future-based summer song in 2018. They're truly masterminds of storytelling, both musically and visually, which is what makes DROELOE so special. After the release of A Matter of Perspective, I have no idea what will come next for DROELOE, but I know I'll be watching, and it'll involve some damn good music. I wish both Vince and Hein the best of luck in their separate ventures, and I thank you guys so much for the past 4 to 5 years of music. It's seriously much appreciated.
Things will start and things will end. Doesn't mean you need to worry. Pick up a pencil, draw a line between the places where it's buried.
Thank you all so much for watching and listening to this. It was a blast to make. I gave a lot of my own opinions and interpretation on a lot of these songs, but of course, it's music. You can interpret it any way you want. If you have any stories or theories about what any of DROELOE's songs are about, leave them in the comments. I absolutely love reading different interpretations of music. Once again, thank you for watching. I love you all. Have an amazing day. Goodbye.